it's Girl About Library, and I'm here today with a video that I am super excited about. This is going to be my top 10 reads of 2017. I'm so excited to share these with you guys. These are all books that I have talked about at some point this year. I will link all of the 60-second book reviews that I made for these because I think I made one for every single book on this list, which is pretty awesome. So if you're looking for a more condensed version of how I feel about these books, check that out below. There's 60 seconds for each one. I'll also try to link as many as I can as I talk about the book in the up bar. The books themselves are not in any particular order. I am not capable of that. Like, I tried to sit down and put these in some sort of order. No, it's too hard. It's like picking amongst favorite things. I don't know. I have a feeling this video is going to be very gushy, so just brace yourself. If you're looking for more plot though, that will be in the 60-second book reviews as well. But these are all favorites of mine and I'm excited to share them with you. Number 1 is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Not only is this a favorite read of 2017, this might be just like a favorite book generally. This book was amazing and I'm so glad that I finally read it. Station 11 had been on my TBR list for a really long time and I had seen a ton of reviews for it. I had watched other people review it. I'd seen it on Instagram for a long time and it was just one of those books I wanted to get to. And I kind of hyped it up quite a bit as well. So I had built the book up in my mind. Like, I had it was pretty hyped. But then I read it and it didn't just like meet my hype expectations. That's a word now, hype expectations. It surpassed them. And how, like, that never happens for me. I mean, it happened with another book that we're going to talk about later on, but like generally that doesn't happen very often. And so I just, it was awesome. I love the way that this book is written, but I also love what this book is about because it hits two things that I really like to see in books. I really enjoy post-apocalyptic fiction, which is something I've kind of learned about myself this year because I have several of those. But it does that, and it does it really, really well. But it also is a very like humanistic, creative approach to how something like that would affect humanity. This book is so quotable, the writing is beautiful. I will say though, like, even though this is a favorite, I can still see faults and things. It's a little bit of a slower paced book. It's not edge of your seat suspense. It's a slow burn, but it is very good and definitely one of my favorite reads of the year. Next up is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, and this is another book that is not just the favorite of this year, but is like a reading favorite generally. This is kind of like a guilty reader admission, but like I don't get that excited about new releases that are coming out. Like I might make a video about them, I keep a list of them, but I'm not like, can't sleep the night before, show up at the bookstore like 20 minutes before it opens type of excited. But I was for this book. And I was also anxious going into reading it because when you build something like that up in your mind, you never know what you're gonna actually read. But I trust John Green as an author. I think that he has a very specific writing style, which some readers don't enjoy, but I really, really, really do. All of that is to say that this book is amazing. It was one of my favorite reads of 2017. It is one of my favorite books generally. The way that he captured the excruciating, like, psychic pain that is caused by obsessive disorders was breathtaking. And I'm so excited also that this is going to become a movie. And so hopefully that is something to look forward to in late 2018. Next up is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a book that was on my TBR list also for a little bit of time. Definitely not as long as Station 11, but like it's been a while that I wanted to read it, and it also met and then exceeded my hype expectations. Dark Matter to me is just such an impressive book. I'm so impressed by the author and the way that he manipulated like time and space to capture the ideas of dark matter. I'm blown away, mind blown by this book. So there's like the thriller aspects of it in that, but Dark Matter is also very emotional. Like it really tugs at your heartstrings. It makes you feel desperate for the character. I think it is so cool to find that in a book, that it can do both of those things so well. This was also one of those books where after I read it, I was like, I get it. Like, every now and then you read a book that's super popular and you're kind of like, okay, I guess. But this book really got me, and I was like, I get it. I totally understand why everyone read this and loved it. Next up is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. I read this in summer of 2017, even though it's actually like a Christmassy book. I have loved every book that I have read by Rainbow Rowell, whether that is Landline or Fangirl or Eleanor Park, and I hope to read another one of hers in 2018. What would be really neat is if Rainbow wrote a new book in 2018. That would be super cool. Like I said, this book is set during Christmas, and I loved it. This book also, kind of like Dark Matter, plays a lot with time and with place, and I think that it is so hopeful and has such a great message for this time of year, and would be a great book to read like going into 2018 if you haven't read it yet. Moving on to Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This is a booktube made me read it type of read. I had never heard of this book, and then April on Getting Hugo with It talked about it, and I was like, gotta read this book, and I'm so glad that I did. This book, like Station 11, deals with an apocalyptic type situation, but I love the part of the apocalypse that this book focuses on, because you spend a lot of time like right before everything like hits the fan. And I feel like in a lot of apocalyptic fiction, you're seeing things after the destruction. Like, you know, Walking Dead, for example, you're seeing that after like everything was destroyed and gone. And so it was really neat to see that like less visited perspective. This book was also terrifying, and I connected to it on a different way than I anticipated, because it is about, in large part, a mother who is trying to protect her two children as they float down this river with blindfolds on. And Josh Malerman just does such a good job of capturing this like bizarre idea and doing it very convincingly in a way that like is easy to suspend disbelief for. He is definitely an author that I want to read more of in 2018. Next are my two top nonfiction picks from 2017. The first one is Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. This is a book that I was kind of surprised in myself for reading, because generally speaking, I avoid politics in my fiction and also in nonfiction. Reading is like my safe space, and I just feel like I get enough of that from life and the news and Facebook and Twitter, and so I, generally speaking, reading is not where I get that. But I took a chance on Hillbilly Elegy, and I'm really glad that I did. While there are like political aspects to this story, for the most part, it is just J.D. Vance's life in memoir. One of the things that I really enjoyed about Hillbilly Elegy was the relationship between J.D. and his grandmother. I could read some parts of this book over and over again, but also I was really surprised by how much this book made me want to reach out and help others. J.D. explores in his memoir like all of the different times where someone stepped up and just gave him like a helping hand, and not necessarily financially, but just like in street knowledge that he wouldn't have had just because of how he was raised and what his family was exposed to. And I just think it's great that a book can do that. And so if you're looking for a nonfiction read, Hillbilly Elegy is not as political as expected and also a great story. I have 60-second book reviews for all of these books, like I said, and some of those 60-second book reviews are like throwbacks to when I recorded on my Mac, and this is one of them. I had such a hard time recording this 60-second book review because I kept crying while talking about this book, and I'm gonna try not to cry now. Juniper is about a family. Kelly and Thomas French had a really hard time getting pregnant, and finally they were able to. Kelly was 23 weeks pregnant when she went into labor. Juniper, of course, was whisked off to the NICU as soon as she was born. And this book explores the relationship between Kelly and Thomas, how they became pregnant, but mostly it is about Juniper and her life. Oh, I listened to this book. I also read this book. The audiobook for this, like, just tissues for all of that. Both Kelly and Thomas just have different ways of exploring what must have been an incredibly emotional time in their lives. And as a relatively new mom myself, that made me real weepy, but a good kind of weepy. I mean, and each of their stories and experiences are so different as well between Kelly and Thomas, and I liked that perspective of it. You know, Kelly is very worried for Juniper, and she has her way of dealing with that, and then Thomas is also very worried about Juniper, and he has his ways of dealing with that. And they're both journalists as a profession, so the way that they captured the story was just, oh, it was so good, and I definitely encourage you to read this. Next, I want to discuss Setting Free the Kites by Alex George. This is a new to me author in 2017, but he does have other books out. I haven't read any of those, but I read Setting Free the Kites and loved it. I think one of the other endearing things to me about this book is that I haven't heard that much about it on YouTube, and so I'm excited to get the chance to talk about it again. This book has so many different things going on within it as far as the things that it covers and the emotions that it covers. It's funny and it's sad. It has one of my favorite settings that I read in a book in 2017, or possibly ever, because the dad of the main character owns a amusement park type thing that is part Western, part medieval. So there's a lot there. Like I said, this book is sad. The main character's brother in this book has Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and he's nearing the end of his life in the book. And the way that the author, Alex George, deals with that in his writing, and the way that the family deals with that in the book, was heartbreaking and so sad, but also hopeful. One of the reasons I love this book and why I think other readers would love it is that it appeals to a broad range of readers. It is an adult fiction book, but I think that YA readers would find a lot of things in here that they really enjoy. I haven't read any other books by Alex George, but I hope to get to in 2018. I have one of them on my bookshelf behind me. Next up was a surprisingly good read, and that was The River at Night by Erica Forensic. I had never heard of this author. I hadn't heard anything about this book. I just kind of stumbled upon reading an arc of this book, and it was so good. It was such a twisty thrill ride of a book. The River at Night is about a group of friends who go on a river rafting trip that goes wrong. If you enjoy thrillers, but you're also looking for something with a little bit more character development, The River at Night is perfect for that. And last, but certainly not least, is Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. Like I said, I could not rank these books, but this could possibly be my favorite read of the year. I don't know, that is just really tough for me to say, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. Lincoln in the Bardo has so many things that I like to see in a book that it's kind of it's just the recipe for my favorite book. It has a plot that pulled me in, it has amazing character development, and it has this use of language, these quotable parts that just, it just totally appeals to me. It is one of my favorite reads of 2017, probably one of my favorite reads of all time. I'm so glad that it won the Man Booker Prize, because I didn't read hardly of the other contestants, but it deserves all of the prizes, and it definitely is at the top of my favorite reads of 2017. So those were my favorite books of 2017. I had so much fun sharing them with you, not just now, but over this entire year of reading. Let me know what your favorite books from 2017 were. If you read any of the books that I read, what did you think of them? And please leave me recommendations from your favorites of this year so that I have more books to read in 2018. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and all of my videos for this past year. I've had a blast making them and sharing all of this with you. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.